weird though. Hello everyone and welcome to the summer of hell, where usually we'd be resting and relaxing, catching up on those thrilling Turkish teleplays while waiting for our lives to restart come August. Now we're watching those same Turkish teleplays but also have the inconvenience of a global pandemic happening in the background. Seriously though, stay at home. One of the things that was drastically affected by the pandemic and the subsequent lockdown was schools. Being termed as snotty germ factories more so than usual, governments all over the world cancelled school, which left everyone scrambling towards the warm arms of the internet. I have felt that online schooling or using the internet as the primary means of education was an inevitability. The internet is supposed to be like this great equalizer which takes away the massive costs of the physical infrastructure of a school, such as the building, the desks, the chairs, the boards, and all of that, and at the same time gives you inexpensive and ready access to all the information and knowledge that you could ever need. You know, like an actual school. We saw this rising trend with initiatives like Khan Academy, Coursera, edX. Celebrities got in on the action with Masterclass, and then universities brought it into the mainstream by offering a lot of their own courses online. Seeing this trend trickle down to the high school level, I feel would have been commonplace in about 5, maybe 10 years. However, COVID accelerated that timeline into only a matter of days. All schools rushed and scrambled to get their classes online as quickly as possible. Now in Pakistan, as is usually the case between those who are privileged and those who are not, this move towards online schooling split the student body of the country into two major categories: those who could transition to online schooling and those who could not. According to different sources, internet penetration in Pakistan is around 35%. That means that only 1 in 3 people have ready access to the internet. Keeping that consideration in mind, we can't really consider online learning as a one-size-fits-all solution when the infrastructure needed to access that information is so limited. As such, the government did launch a commendable initiative in the form of television-based learning, and that has a much higher penetration rate in the country. But again, due to the very passive nature of that medium itself, it's a stopgap solution at best, a temporary one at best. Since I teach at an extremely privileged school, let's talk more about the online aspect of schooling. I feel as teachers, we had to adapt really quickly to this new medium of instruction, and as is the case usually with any new technology, there were growing pains. It does take some getting used to the new format and new medium of instruction, and all that parental pressure to be perfect wasn't really helping things. In the last couple of months, I saw that there was either a tendency for lessons to be very lecture, late night talk show host monologue style, like me, I do like to babble obviously, or they ended up being very assignment heavy. Honestly speaking, I don't think either of these two strategies are the ideal. I feel that we just took our strongest teaching styles and translated them online. I think most of us teachers would agree that the one thing that we really miss in these online classrooms is the social connection we would have with all our students when we would be in the same shared physical space. And by its very nature, that is something very difficult to translate online. Think about it, when you're talking to someone over the phone or even through video as compared to in person, our attention tends to slip. And I think going forward, this element would be of crucial importance, trying to make our lectures and assignments as interactive as possible so that there is a conversation going on and it's not so passive. Which brings me to the other side of the learning equation, the students. Hello. To say that it has been challenging for y'all would be a disservice and a gross understatement to say the least. Having that shared physical space was really important, and it had a tremendous impact on how we absorbed and analyzed information. And all of this really makes online schooling feel like a former shadow of its corporeal self. That being said, I think there is a key realization that we all must come to. This virus is not going away anytime soon. There is no deadline as to the virus as of yet, and all experts pretty much agree that this will take at least months to solve. Even if things get better and schools do reopen, there is no guarantee that they will not be closed again just in case the virus behaves differently. For better or for worse, online schooling is here to stay. What we have to do is come to terms with that fact and realize that we are not getting this time back. It falls on us to adapt to these changes and make the most of them. As students who have spent their entire lives in a very strictly regimented academic setting, this definitely would feel like uncharted territory for you. suddenly there is no authority figure forcing you to do stuff. You are no longer surrounded by like-minded peers who are all struggling for the same things as you are. Suddenly, learning has become quite a lonely experience. It is, in fact, in these times of crisis that we find ourselves maturing a lot faster. We have to learn skills that will help us overcome these challenges, chiefly among these being self-discipline. Without the proverbial danda guiding our actions, we suddenly find ourselves looking for the motivation to keep ourselves going. And for that, we need a lot of awareness and a lot of reflection as to why we're doing the things we're doing in the first place, and then finding the reasons and ambitions from that. So, engage as openly and extensively as you can with online learning, and think of the fortunate circumstances that have allowed you to experience these unique times. And also think about ways to help those who are not so fortunate. If this crisis has taught us anything, it's that us humans have the fundamental capacity to adapt and overcome anything the world throws at us. We're all in this together, and inshallah, we will all get out of this together as well. I do feel that COVID has shaken up a lot of beliefs about how we approach education, degrees, qualifications, and jobs, etc. But I feel that's an extensive topic to be explored perhaps in a future video. I would love to hear your experiences about online education. Have they been hellish, or actually do you find them strangely effective? And also, how are you dealing with the pandemic? I would love to hear your comments, and until next time.